This episode of the Indy Boys Racing Podcast was recorded on February 15th, 2022. And if there's any news that we missed in this video, then sorry about that. Also, there is a trigger warning in this video, as there may be some slightly mild language used at any point in the video. If that's going to easily trigger you, then please watch this warning. Other than that, enjoy the episode.
Welcome back to the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. We have a great show for you guys today. Going to be going over some motorsport media. Going to talk about our NASCAR predictions for the playoffs. And, of course, it is Speed Week. Going to talk all about Daytona. But first, I feel like we should introduce ourselves. My name is Tristan Grider, joined with, as always, Daniel Chaney and Justin Cox. How are we doing today, boys?
I'm doing very swell. How about you, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. I'm just excited for this.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a great episode. Episode 6 of the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. They said it could never be done.
Yeah, right.
Super exciting. Let's get into our news for the week. All right, let's get into our news, motorsport media, for episode 6 of this week. Starting with the NASCAR side of things, as it is NASCAR Speed Week at Daytona. Practice was that literally just happened. So I know Jay caught practice, so we might talk about that a little bit later in the show. I was at work and Daniel was busy, so we didn't get to watch. But talking about the Cup Series, it is confirmed officially that Greg Biffle will be making his return to the Daytona 500, running for NY Racing in the 44. A beautiful paint scheme on that car. Literally gorgeous. However, NY Racing just came back, like, out of the ground.
And nobody said a word about it.
Literally. Like, Daniel doesn't really remember NY Racing, as they were kind of like, think of them as kind of like a Live Fast Motorsports, like, kind of.
You could call them a Germain Racing team.
Yeah, or maybe a Germain, kind of.
Like
They
the
were
13.
always around, but they were never competitive.
Yeah.
And, yeah, at least Germain was kind of competitive. NY was never competitive. And they would kind of just show up and, like, start and park their cars.
And be like, we was here.
Yeah, and they were kind of like, they said they were going to run the full 2019 season, did not qualify for the 500, and then we never saw them again.
Yeah.
So, kind of interesting that they're finally back. Hope Greg Biffle has some good success in that 44 car. It's going to be weird seeing Greg Biffle in something that is not the 16 in the Cup Series, but going to be interesting.
Weird.
On to the more of the Xfinity side of things. Greg Galding has announced that he's going to be driving for Mike Harmon at Daytona this weekend, sponsored by Safe Hedge Crypto. So another cryptocurrency has made its way over to NASCAR. Pretty interesting. Another story in the Xfinity side is Natalie Decker will be running for Ram Brothers Racing in the 33 on a part-time schedule, including this weekend at Daytona. So really cool for Natalie Decker. That's not our only news about Natalie Decker. We'll talk about that in a second. On to the Truck Series. Austin Hill will be driving for Spire Motorsports in the number 7 at Daytona. A lot of people forget that Spire is going to be running full-time in the Truck Series this season. So Austin Hill will be their first official driver at Daytona. That car immediately is now in winning contention, as Austin Hill is Austin Hill. So really cool to see him back in the Truck Series. Now, the biggest NASCAR story, I think, of this week is that Busch Beer has announced that it will spend $10 million over the next 3 years to sponsor every woman driver that is in NASCAR over the age of 21. Some of these drivers include Natalie Decker, Jennifer Jo Cobb, and Tony Bredinger. I have no idea how to say it. Bredinger? I've never said her name before. I've just called her Tony for like a year.
Yeah.
So that's really cool for them. And there's a couple more drivers, obviously. But one name that is not on that list is Haley Deegan. So interesting that Busch Beer will not be sponsoring Haley Deegan.
I didn't even 21
yet.
Oh yeah, that she's not 21. That makes sense.
Okay.
Look at Daniel. Look at Daniel, man. So inspirational.
I got a brain.
So that was pretty cool over on the NASCAR side. Cool to see that Busch Beer will be expanding its sponsorship to different people besides not Kurt Busch, besides Kevin Harvick. So super cool. Daniel, what's going on over on the IndyCar side of things?
Yeah, so on the actual NTT Data IndyCar Series portion of things, the real only big news is Marco Andretti has been confirmed to run the Indy 500. Obviously, we've known he was gonna run it, but it technically hadn't been confirmed. So he's once again going to be in the 98 car, and he's going to have a new sponsor that he has not run, I believe, ever. Cooler Color. It could just be KULR. I don't know how it's pronounced, but they've partnered with Andretti for a little bit now as in like their Extreme E team, I believe. So like they've been kind of a partner with them, but they've never officially sponsored an IndyCar. So that'll be interesting. New colors for him. He'll be in a blue car. I'm not going to be used to
Wow,
that.
that's interesting.
Yeah, he's been running red cars a lot recently, so I don't know.
Big change.
He's been running red and black cars his like entire career, so that's
A good portion of it, yeah.
interesting.
And then on the Indy Lights portion of things, Linus Lundqvist has been confirmed to be running in the 26 car for HMD Motorsports in the 2022 Indy Lights season.
Dope.
So I think that should be potentially a contending car. Lundqvist is really, really good.
Especially since Malukas and Kirkwood are no
Yeah.
longer in that series.
Yeah.
I mean, Linus was the only one last season besides Malukas and Kirkwood to get a win in Indy Lights because of how dominant
other
Malukas and
two were.
Kirkwood were, literally. And I'm pretty sure Linus pulled 2 or 3 wins home last season. I think it was 2. But still,
I do not recall.
the rest was, I mean, 7 wins by Malukas and 9 wins by Kirkwood. Literally dominant season for those two. So yeah, cool to see Linus and going back possibly to run for a championship.
Oh yeah.
He's definitely going to be the favorite.
Yeah, he had 3 wins last season,
3.
opposed to Kirkwood's 10 and Malukas' 7.
There you go. Dominant season by the 2 NTT rookie contenders. All right, Jay, let's go on over to F1.
Okay, so to start off the F1 segment of Motorsports Media, Lando Norris has made an agreement with McLaren to stay with them until 2025.
Yeah,
And-
baby.
I know, right? That's why I got the poster, baby. That's why I got the
I
poster.
love Lando.
Yeah, I do too. I love Lando so much. He's so dope. But that's gonna be McLaren's franchise driver. Like if you had to
For
compare it to
real.
like NFL or something, that's their franchise driver. So, Best Water Technology (BWT) teams up with Alpine F1 team. So, I hope that funds and makes them make a quicker car basically. But my main thing is the livery. The livery is going to change because last year they were blue and red and the normal Alpine colors. But it's going to change most likely since Best Water Technology is coming on board to pink. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that livery. The Bahrain GP is confirmed to stay on the F1 calendar until 2036. Yeah, that is crazy.
They said we want the long term.
Yup, they sure did. This is more like a World Endurance Championship type announcement here, but Daniel Kvyat, I always butcher his name, will join G Drive Racing and compete in the LMP2 class of the FIE World Endurance Championship. So I thought that was pretty cool. That's why I included it. American battery maker Duracell has signed a multi-year deal with Williams Racing, and marketing will include a TV commercial, esports, and at-track events. Williams says the announcement is a testament to the growth of our sport, and particularly in North America, since Duracell is a like American, like Westworld like brand. And now, actually, before we move on and get away from me talking about liveries, I wanted you guys to look at the liveries so far that have been revealed, all 6 of them, and I wanted you guys to rate your favorite one. So,
I mean, my favorite one, like just looking at them, it'd have to be between that AlphaTauri car and that Williams Racing car. Those liveries are literally dope. That on the AlphaTauri, that just like that sleek silver, or like kind of like it looks like a silver and navy, looks dope. And then on that Williams Racing car, I am a fan of blue cars. Those two look sweet, and you can never go wrong with the classic Red Bull Racing colors. Those are my 3 favorites so far.
yeah.
What about you, Dan?
For me, I know this might be an unpopular opinion based on what I've seen on social media, but I love the McLaren car. I don't know. It's bright. It's a little bit different from what they have been doing. I really, really like it, and I like that it's consistent with the newer Aero McLaren cars in IndyCar. I think that's like a fun little continuity that they have. And so I'm a really big fan of that one. Obviously, the AlphaTauri one is beautiful. The Red Bull one is great as always, but it's just not that much changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the McLaren one. Jay, your opinions?
Personally, my favorite one so far is McLaren. And I know, as you said, a lot of people are not liking the McLaren for some reason. I don't know why, because that livery is absolutely beautiful. And my next favorite would probably have to be the Williams scheme.
That Williams scheme is dope, bro.
Yeah, I always love any Williams scheme that comes out. Like, it's always a banger, to me at least. And then after that would have to be AlphaTauri, which AlphaTauri stayed with their normal colors and stuff, just switched up, and they really matched the scheme with the flow of the car, and I really like that, and it makes it look so dope. But yeah, I just wanted to see what you guys' opinions on that was really briefly. Leave in the comments.
But while we're still on the F1 topic, I did have something I forgot about because it wasn't necessarily news. It was just like a quote from Zach Brown. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was on the topic of Pato Award. Obviously, he came in third for the IndyCar Championship last year, but Zach Brown said that if Pato were to win an IndyCar Championship, it would be his fastest way to potentially getting an F1 ride. So
Interesting.
some people took it as like just kind of like, oh, like that would make it like a little bit more competent, like, oh, like he won, like maybe he'll get a shot. I take this as Zach Brown has been one to make a lot of promises and like bets with his drivers, and so I almost took it as if he wins the championship,
challenging him.
Would he maybe move into the McLaren F1 team? And obviously Lando Norris re-signed for longer. Would they just either Ricardo, or would they maybe do something where they have Pato take the F1 seat and they take Ricardo and put him in IndyCar? I know Ricardo, I believe it might not have been Ricardo, but he said like he doesn't know if he would be interested in doing IndyCar just because of ovals. But do you think that could maybe be a possibility?
I mean, yes. I don't know about Ricardo doing IndyCar, but the possibility of Pato, let's say he does win the championship this year. If he gets to an F1 seat, this is a contract year for Ricardo, if I remember correctly. Do not quote me on that. I'm almost positive this is a contract year for Ricardo. I think he only had a 2-year deal with McLaren. So we're going to see how that turns out. So if Pato really wants that seat, he's going to have to get on it this season.
I mean, I'm just saying if Pato goes to F1, I know who my favorite driver is going to be.
Oh, yeah, easily.
I love me some Pato. And, like, I don't know enough of the F1 guys because I'm not huge into it. But if Pato goes to F1, he's going to be my favorite, at least until Herta eventually shows up. Because we know it's coming eventually.
Yeah. I actually just looked it up, and Ricardo has, after this next season, one more season left on his contract.
Okay.
Just
so
wanted
a
to clear
team
that up.
option.
Yeah. And plus, if he does want to, he can go to F2 to get adjusted as well.
Oh, yeah,
So-
that's true.
Yeah. Or even, I don't know how often they're going to be moving drivers over from this series, but Formula E as well, maybe. But I would say he'd probably go to F2. So
I mean,
that would be my take.
I think if you're Pato and you're given the opportunity to move over to F2, I don't know if he's had F2 experience. I honestly don't know if he would do that just because IndyCar is a bigger scale and he's got a chance at basically winning it every year because he is a top tier guy. I don't know if he would do anything else until the F1
seat opens up.
Yeah, until like he has the opportunity for that.
Well, I mean, on the other side of things, I mean, you have Ernie Francis Jr., who's going to be running Force cars this season. I mean, and he's Ernie Francis Jr.
Yeah, right.
So, like, I know that's his quickest way into IndyCar, but still, like, if you're going to a different series, you have to take some
some
no
leaps
matter
and
what, you
bounds
have to take
get
some
there.
leaps and bounds. Yeah, like Danica. I mean, just to bring it up, Danica Patrick did not go straight to the Cup Series. She ran in Xfinity for 2 years, and sure, they were very lackluster, but she ran in the Xfinity Series. Same thing with Travis Pastrana. He wanted to run in the Cup Series, and he learned very quickly that he was not talented enough for the Cup Series. And like, it's just what happens with these guys. Like, if you're going to a different auto sport,
You got to
have
start
to
lower.
like, yeah. And we saw that with happening with Dario Franchitti back when we were like a lot younger. I mean,
Yeah.
Franchitti tried to run for Chip Ganassi in the Cup Series in the 40 car. I believe he ran 6 races and found out that he was not going to be doing well in stock cars because he didn't take the time and run in the lower tier series.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he is a big name and a multi-time IndyCar champion, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
So
Jimmy Johnson didn't go to Indy Lights.
because Jimmy Johnson's Jimmy Johnson.
I know. I'm just
but yeah,
playing.
make sure you guys let us know the liveries that you guys like so
Definitely.
far in the comments down below. Good episode of Motorsport Media.
I got 2
Let's
more
screen.
things. I got 2
Oh,
more
go
things.
ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to do that before I moved on to my next thing, which is like different compared to like. So this is still on the topic of F1, but we are talking about the schedule here, and the F1 sprint races have been confirmed for the 2022 season. The first one will be at Imola, the second one will be at Austria, and the last one will be in Sao Paulo, or Brazil. And the pole sitter, it's finally been changed that the pole sitter will start, from Friday qualifications, will start on the pole for the sprint races. And points are only for the top 8 instead of, I think last season, if I remember right, it was top 3. So, yeah.
Interesting.
And then the last thing I have, after what happened in Belgium or Spa, so if you guys don't know, Spa, it was basically like you couldn't see anything with how much it was raining when the cars would drive. And because of the spray from behind the car. And the rule is weird in F1 for rain delays and stuff. If the race exceeds this certain time limit, the old rule, if the race exceeds this certain time limit, the race will be called. It's weird. It's always been like that, but that's like the first time in like the modern era I think it's ever happened. So I don't know. But they exceeded the time limit. They ended the race. They gave everybody half points. And this season, they're going into it. They looked at a better way of doing it, which I personally agree with. I like it. So after the Spa debacle, 2 racing laps without the safety car or virtual safety car must be ran before the race can be called. Then a sliding scale in terms of points will be awarded, depending on how much of the race is completed. Basically, this is reported by Chris Medland. If under 25% of the race distance is completed by the leader, top 5 scores 6 points for the winner, then 4, 3, 2, 1 following. And then between 25 to 50, top 9 score, the winner gets 13, and then it's 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then between 50 to 75%, the top 10 score 19, 15, 12, 9, 8, 5, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. It's weird. It's kind of confusing, but it's a lot better than how they settled it last season. I'll just say it that much. So this ensures that if it's raining very bad like it was in Spa last season, the race will be ran on a different day, I think. So, yeah. That's what I kind of took from it. But that's all I have for Motorsports Media. So, you want to make the transition?
Of course,
Tristan?
of course. Let's go ahead and transition into our next segment. Let's talk all about Daytona. Let's do this thing, guys. That's right, guys. Daytona is officially here, officially Speed Week. I am so excited for Speed Week, guys. You have no idea.
Oh, me too.
It has been a long off season. Just so ready to be back at the track. The LA Clash was nice and all, but I need me some 8-wide racing at Daytona.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to happen, but it's going to be super, super exciting to see these cars back on the track. Let's go ahead and start with the Truck Series. as that is going to be the first race. Well, I guess technically the duels are the first race on Thursday, but the duels are mostly just qualification and stuff. It's going to be exciting to see who makes the 500 out of all the open cars. If I had to guess, it will probably be the Kazgrala Money Team Racing car and the 44 of Greg Biffle. Those are my predictions, and I think it's three make it this year, and so we might be able to see that. Just two?
Yeah.
Well, then I'm gonna put,
Or no, my fault. Two get bumped out. That's my fault. I think I misinterpreted what you were saying.
Okay.
Oh,
Two
So,
get bumped out. My fault.
How many make it then? How many qualifiers do we have? 42.
6. So
there's 6.
So 42.
non-full-time.
yeah.
So 40 cars make it. The cars that I guess won't make it, I'm gonna guess the 55 doesn't make it. JJ Yaley, and the other open car I'm gonna guess does not make it. Surprisingly, is gonna be the 62 of Noah Gragson. Those are my picks for the cars that aren't gonna make it. Obviously, I want to see both those cars in the 500, but I think that the 50 car and the 44 and the 66, I just think those cars are going to be a little bit faster. So I guess we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how the duels go down on Thursday night. But let's go ahead and start with the Truck Series. It's going to be a very interesting race as we have a lot of new faces and new places. My pick for the winner of Daytona is a surprising one. I'm going with Zane Smith in the 38 car for Front Row Motorsports. Front Row has always been fast at super speedways in the Cup Series, and they normally are running up front in the Truck Series too, as that 38 car is top tier equipment in the Truck Series. So I think Zane Smith gets it done. Jay, who do you think is gonna take it home in the Truck Series this weekend?
I don't. Okay, so y'all might roast me for this, but I don't really pay attention that much to the Truck Series. But I personally, if I had to choose anyone, I would have to go with Carson Hocevar or Christian Eckes. Those are my two picks. Yeah, those are my two picks. I just know. I don't know necessarily how they are in super speedways or what their stats or anything is. Just I don't pay attention to the Truck Series that much. I normally just pay attention to Xfinity and Cup, but those would be my two picks. So, what do you got, Daniel?
For me, I don't know why, but I've kind of got two people I'm thinking of. I think either J.H. Nemechek. I mean, he's just really good.
Good old John Hunter.
Could see it
I
happening.
didn't even think about him.
Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
we didn't even think about Ben Rhodes yet, or Jordan Anderson, who are always good on super speedways.
Ben
Or
Rhodes
Matt
isn't even
Crafton.
my second option. I think my second option is Chase Purdy in the 61 for Hattori.
Ooh,
I
interesting.
don't know. I made sure to pull up the roster just to make sure I didn't forget any names, and I think those are my two picks.
It's interesting. Obviously, always have to watch out for Ben Rhodes on super speedways, along with Jordan Anderson, who has gotten second in this race the last 2 years. So
Yeah.
check out, make sure that 3 truck is definitely going to be up front.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that 3 car is definitely going to be up front. So yeah, let's go ahead and move over to the Xfinity Series. It's going to be a great race over there. Lots of new faces in new places, and I'm going with a Joe Gibbs racing driver. I am not going to pick Drew Dollar, even though he is that all-star car. Well, I guess isn't an all-star car this season, the 18 car. I just don't think Drew Dollar has enough experience yet in the Cup Series, but super exciting that he got a 4-race deal in the super speedways. I am not going to be picking the other driver for Joe Gibbs Motorsports, Brandon Jones. I'm going to be picking the 54 of Ty Gibbs. I think Ty Gibbs is fast anywhere, and he's officially over the age of 18, so he can race on the super speedways now. So I think that it's going to be I think Ty Gibbs takes it home. All right, Jay, who you got?
So my first pick, you can never go wrong with the Colleague car on a super speedway.
That's facts.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to be choosing Landon Castle in the 10 car.
Yeah, baby. I love Landon Castle.
That's my first pick.
We get to see Landon in good equipment, guys.
know,
What
finally.
are we
That's
living
really
in?
true.
Finally.
Like, come on. This is great.
We're living in like a dystopia right now because of this. Like, it's beautiful. My second pick will have to be Mike Snyder. That's biased. That's my biased pick. And then
Hey,
my
those Jordan Anderson racing cars are just fast anywhere you take them,
That's true.
especially in the
That's
Xfinity
true.
Series.
That's true. Then my wild card, I would probably just go with Ryan Vargas because I don't feel like he's terrible at super speedways. So, but yeah,
Right.
but I want to see him do good. So, yeah.
I think everyone in the world wants to see Ryan Vargas do good.
Yeah.
Exactly. What you got, Daniel?
Okay, see, so I've got, again, 2 picks for this one. I've got a heart pick and a brain pick. My brain pick says Noah Gragson.
Yeah.
It's Noah Gragson. He's pretty good on super speedways.
This is true.
I could see it happening. And then my heart pick, it's kind of a tie. I think either of the Richard Childress cars are my heart pick. Either Austin Hill or Sheldon Creed, the Creed man himself. I don't know. I feel like RCR is going to have a better year in Xfinity this year. Obviously, they're going to have one more car than they did last year, and 2, like, nothing against Mike Snyder, but 2 bigger name drivers, I would say.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be an up year for them. I think this would be a heck of a way to start their season.
For sure. It's
dope.
going to be a very interesting race in the Xfinity Series. Of course, other drivers to watch out for can never go wrong with the Kaulig Racing cars. AJ Allmendinger and Daniel Hemrick, the 2021 Series champion in new colors. Obviously, can't count out Brandon Brown at a super speedway, the last winner of a super speedway in the Xfinity Series. And finally, one more guy that you can never count out at a super speedway is Josh Berry, because you can't count him out at any racetrack because he has established himself as Josh Berry. And bold prediction, Josh Berry wins the 2022 Xfinity Series championship. That is my prediction. I'm setting it in stone. The championship 4 is going to be Josh Berry, Ty Gibbs, Daniel Hemrick, and AJ Allmendinger. That is my pick. Those are my picks.
Interesting.
And I think that Josh Berry is someone that you can never count out anywhere. So, yeah, let's move on to the Cup Series, the most exciting race of the year, the first one of the season, the Daytona 500. So excited. You get to see Mike Joy, Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer calling the shots in the booth. This is going to be an exciting speed week. Obviously, you have to watch the duels, qualifying, make sure that you guys know who's fast. But going into this race, 3 picks, guys. 3 drivers that you have your eyes on. It's going to be tough, but my 3 picks this Daytona 500, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman. That's a bold one. But I think Bubba Wallace is going to win the Daytona 500. And I think it's going to be a good race. I think there's going to be a bunch of other guys that are going to be up there. Suarez, I can always see him being fast. Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick. You can never count out the RCI guys. Obviously, with the Penske cars of Joey Logano and now Ryan Blaney and Austin Cendrick, can never count out those guys. Everyone is fast. The 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion Kyle Larson, but I think Bubba Wallace takes it home. Second pick would have to be Denny Hamlin. Third pick, Alex Bowman. Who you got, Jay?
We talked about this early, like in our second podcast, I think it was.
I think it was first or second one.
First or second. I can't
First,
remember.
second episode.
But I'm going to stick with my picks because I'm very confident. I got Ryan Blaney winning the Daytona 500. Then if I had to pick a second, I think I had picked Denny second. Then my third pick was Bubba Wallace as well. And then I can't remember who my wild card was, but since I can't remember, I'll just make one up right now. We're gonna go with Chris Buescher.
Yeah, my wild card was Corey LaJoy.
Yeah.
So going back to thinking about those, Daniel, who are your picks for this Daytona 500?
Hey, so my first pick is Kyle Busch. I think he finally gets it done.
It'd be so cool to see
Um,
KB win a 500, dude.
That
he,
is
he
true.
deserves
That is
it.
true.
He deserves
Yeah.
it. Like,
He has
let's be
a
real.
Hall of Fame career. Like,
Honestly,
he needs
just
to
top
win.
it off. Cherry on top, right there.
And then my number 2 pick is Justin Haley.
Mm,
Kaulig looked really
that's true.
good in the clash,
Daniel
and
updated these bad boys.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sticking quite exactly with my original picks. I'm just changing up one of them. Um, I think Justin Haley could get it done because I didn't know how Kaulig was gonna do at first this season, and they looked really good at the Clash.
Yeah.
Obviously, Justin Haley is really good on super speedways. Could happen. Could happen. And then my third pick, it was my wild card pick during our OG predictions. I have Eric Jones in the 43 car.
I can see that too.
Good on super speedways?
Yeah.
Not just
Why
good
not?
on super speedways, incredible on super
Yeah.
speedways. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting speed week. So excited for the 500. We'll talk about it obviously in detail next episode. I like so excited.
too.
So excited.
I'm so ready.
Like, we're going to be live tweeting the entire 500. So if you're not following us on Twitter, follow us at Indy Boys Podcast. It's going to be a dope weekend. So let's go ahead and transition into some more NASCAR stuff. Let's talk all about our playoff predictions. Obviously, we have to have our winners of the Daytona 500 in our predictions.
Oh yeah.
But now here we go. Out of the 16 drivers that we have all picked, we have 11 that are the same. The 11 that are the same is the 11 car of Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, William Byron, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, and Brad Keselowski over at RFK Racing. Now we have 5 that are different. I guess I'll go ahead and start with my 5 drivers that are different than everyone else. I have Kevin Harvick in there. Obvious reasons. He's probably the second most talented driver in the Cup Series today. He's insane. He's the oldest driver in the Cup Series, but he's literally one of the most dominant. Placed 5th in the points last season without winning a race. He was that consistent. And with SHR cars that were nowhere near the 4 car last season, I think KH makes the playoffs. Kurt Busch in the 45 car for 2311 Racing. I have him making the playoffs. Just as a veteran presence, I think it'd be good over there at 2311. I have the 99 of Daniel Suarez over at Trackhouse Racing making the playoffs. I think he gets it done at a super speedway this season. Chase Briscoe in the 14. I have him making the playoffs as I think he will get a win at the Indy Road Course. And my last pick is, of course, my Daytona 500 champion, Bubba Wallace. I think he makes the playoffs this season. Daniel, who do you got for your 5 picks for the playoffs that are different than everyone else's?
Okay, so first off, I have Kevin Harvick. He's just really good. I don't think he's going to quite fall off. I know SHR had a bad year last year, but new car, newer playing field. I think they're going to step it up at least a little bit. I have Austin Cendrick. I think Cendrick wins at a road course. I don't know if he'll be super consistent this season. Obviously, he's going to be a rookie. That'll be hard, but I think he will find a way to squeak out a win. I have Chase Briscoe. I think he also gets a win at a road course, most likely the Indy road course. But I also think Briscoe is going to be way more consistent than he was last year. I think he's going to be in a better car. I think he's going to kind of figure out what some of his struggles were from last season. I think he gets in. I have Christopher Bell. Obviously, he made it last year. I don't know if he'll get a win, but I think he gets in based on just a lot of like reoccurring good performances and consistency. And then my final one is Justin Haley. I think he either gets a win at a super speedway, but I also think just because we saw a little bit of a taste that Kaulig was really good at the Clash, I think he could just get on off consistency. Honestly, I don't know.
You also have
It's
to have
kind
him
of
as a threat at Martinsville.
oh
now.
yeah, it's a little bit of an out
Yeah.
there pick, but I don't know.
All right, Jay, who do you got for your 5 picks for the 2022 playoffs?
So my first pick of the 5 that we have that's different, I had Ross Chastain. I feel like if he doesn't win somewhere on like a super speedway, he's gonna point in. I feel like he's just gonna run consistent enough to point in into the final 16 and just make it in the playoffs. Kurt Busch, along the same lines, unless he does it in Kurt Busch fashion, he gets a win, at least one win like every year for some reason, and he's just there and he gets a win. So if he does, that's what's gonna put him in the playoffs for me. Christopher Bell, I could see him winning anywhere, honestly, like whether it's a super speedway, especially New Hampshire, because last year in New Hampshire he was gonna pass Eric Almirola, but they shortened the race. Then even like in the mile and a half, I don't think he runs bad there either. So Austin Dillon, I feel like Austin Dillon and RCR are gonna be pretty good this year, including Tyler Reddick, because I have him moving on into my round of 12 as well, actually. But Austin Dillon, I feel, because like I said, RCR is gonna run better this year. They just seem like it's a feeling to me that they're going to be quick. I don't know why. I just feel like they're going to be quick this year, and especially after seeing the last couple of seasons as well. Austin Cendrick is my last guy that I have in. I feel like he's going to go on a tear, honestly, this year, because I feel like he's going to pick up on it quick. He killed it for Penske and the Xfinity, but, I mean, I guess that's technically, like, the highest funded car in Xfinity other than some of the Colleague or Joe Gibbs cars, but like I feel like he's gonna pick up on it pretty quick. I feel like once he gets it down, everybody's gonna be learning the car too as the season goes on. It's gonna be equal for some of the rookies coming in my opinion. So those are my 5.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, especially since Justin Haley and Austin Syndrick now have a ton more Cup experience than Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland. Todd Gilliland obviously has never stepped foot in a Cup car before the LA Clash, and Harrison Burton only having 1 start at Talladega. Justin Haley pretty much has already ran 3 full seasons in the Cup Series for Spire, even though he was technically a rookie this season. Austin Cendrick obviously ran those 6 races last season in the 33 car, and we saw him pretty much dominate Road America. But it's going to be interesting to see what goes on in this 2022 playoffs. Let's go ahead and transition into our final segment.
Okay, and for our last segment today, we're going to talk about the E-race that IndyCar did last week. They did it at the IMS road course, and they had a good portion of the full-time guys as well as some of the guys that'll be doing one-offs, particularly at like the 500. Did you guys get to catch any of this race or highlights?
Yeah, I watched.
I watched the
grand
highlights.
majority of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I watched the whole thing as well as some of the stuff pre-race. And you could really see. Remind me, Jay, what was the game that they were doing this on?
rFactor 2.
rFactor 2, that's what it was. I knew it wasn't iRacing. But rFactor 2 is owned by Motorsport Games, who obviously makes the NASCAR games and is going to make the first IndyCar game that'll come out next year. So it was like a big sponsored event. They treated it like a pretty big deal, I would say. I think it kind of came out of nowhere. Like they announced it a few days prior.
Yeah.
And then like they didn't even announce where it was until basically when it happened.
Yeah, because Romain Grosjean, I seen under a post from IndyCar, he commented, he was like, so are we running in like Spa, or are we running at Sebring, or where are we running at? Because like the drivers didn't know until like they were in the lobby before.
Yeah, they didn't know, and like the trailer that they released was like a compilation of different tracks. So they just straight up like had to guess, and they did not know it was the IMS road course. Personally, I would have liked it better if they just did an oval. It doesn't even have to be the IMS.
I don't know what you're talking
oval.
about. I wanted them to run the Nashville street course. What are you talking about?
No, I think if they would have done an oval, it would have been more fun and maybe less wrecking, because obviously it was an e-race, so a lot of people that like won't necessarily wreck like in real life were wrecking a lot. Like Renus VK was taking out a lot of people. Um,
I want to say,
Santucci was
yeah,
taking out a lot of people.
Santucci.
Santucci took out a lot of people at the end. Connor Daly kind of laughed at that,
Mm.
which I thought was funny. And what were you gonna say, Jay?
I do want to say though, a lot of the people that were crashing had no idea how to do any of these sim games, because like you have people that I don't know how much simulator experience Felix Rosenquist has, but he seemed like he was pretty good on it. It's a little bit of an adjustment to do it.
Yeah, I wonder why
compared to
Felix
driving the real
Rosenquist
thing.
was good on it since he
Yeah.
won the damn thing.
Yeah, he was so fast and it was crazy.
No, cause here's the thing. So they like the official broadcast didn't broadcast anything until like the actual race started, or
Yeah.
like the heat races, because they did 2 heat races that were 10 minutes long. Then they did one 20-minute main event, and that was like the actual race. And that started at like 6 p.m. I believe. And from like 3:30 on, Connor Daly was Twitch streaming like kind of like their practices and like their just kind of like how they were gonna figure it out. Like they had some practice races to make sure everything was running well. So there were 3 drivers that were scheduled to be in it that didn't end up doing it because of certain errors. Colton Herta just couldn't get his rFactor 2 to load. Like it was just crashing.
Mhm.
And I believe he even said on like Connor Daly's stream, he was like, I'm just gonna play World of Warcraft. Like
That's funny.
and then Scott McLaughlin, I believe, had something wrong with configuring his pedals because he had another event and it just wasn't going to work. And so he was like, I'm going to focus on the other event. And then Pato Ward also, I believe, had like configuration issues. So those 3 who probably would have been like contenders in it, I would say. They're pretty big name drivers. They were unable to compete in it. But we did get to see a lot of people that normally, not necessarily like normally wouldn't be in the front, but a lot of people that you wouldn't expect to be like winning a regular race on a regular basis were leading or contending in this e-race. Obviously, Felix Rosenquist was the man who ended up winning, and in the sessions that Connor Daly was showing, he was going fast. Like we thought he was fast in the actual race, but it took him a while to get up to the front. Like in their practices, like he was like 2 seconds faster than like the person in like second.
Everybody.
Like
Yeah.
he was insane.
Mm.
And then obviously our boy David Malukas came in P2. He looked really strong out there. And then Sage Karam looked really good. He was
That's
leading
my
a
boy. I love
solid
Sage
amount
Karam.
of the race. But I thought it was a good event. I thought that you got to see some duels that you wouldn't normally see,
Yeah.
like during regular IndyCar races. Like Joseph Newgarden and Connor Daly were battling it out, like kind of like mid-pack, which I
Pretty sure they ended up crashing too, if I remember.
yeah, like
right.
I think, but I think that was the one of the heat races that they were like
It might
just
have been,
battling
yeah.
it out. But yeah, if I remember correctly, I believe Connor Daly got taken out by, you guessed it, Santucci. Because of course he got taken out by Santucci. Probably the only actual beef in IndyCar right now.
Yeah.
I think
None other
Santucci
than
has beef with
Santucci.
probably half the field. Let's be real.
Easily.
Um,
Man's a Ty Dillon out there.
well, he's Ty Dillon in the,
Is that even in the series?
he's Ty Dillon in the iRacing.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, we'll say that.
Speaking of iRacing, really quick, it reminded me a lot of the NASCAR Pro Invitational that we've seen the last 2 years. Obviously, I think IndyCar did a much better job with just putting it on YouTube and not literally putting it on
Fox.
national TV
Yeah.
on Fox. Like,
well, they did that when they were doing their iRacing stuff during COVID.
yeah, but they also did it during the middle of the season. Like,
Fair,
Yeah.
that's fair.
like I mean, come on. Like last season, we would run like a race, and then they'd be like, "Now we're going to the NASCAR Pro Invitational on Wednesday," and like we would watch a Pro Invitational race on Wednesday
they
and
would
watch
just go
just
crush
Byron
each
just
other.
win the entire race.
Yeah.
And like, obviously, the Pro Invitational in 2020, I feel like was a little bit more interesting than it was in 2021, as we got to see drivers like Timmy Hill up in the front all the time. But you could definitely tell the drivers that work the sim and the drivers that don't work the sim. And obviously drivers like Sage Karam, David Malukas, and Felix Rosenqvist, who were up in the top 3 most of the race, did well. Connor Daly, who works sim, did well. Drivers that don't work sim didn't do as hot. And we've seen that in both the NASCAR Pro Invitational and in the e-racing race on ProFactor.
Grosjean looked amazing during it too.
Grosjean did look fast.
You can tell. He just. I think he ended up 4th or 5th.
I can't remember.
He was really fast in like the
third.
heat races.
I'm pretty sure he was 3rd because I think him and Malukas battled for a while. Yeah, no, I think it was him and Malukas that battled for a while, but Sage Karam was like solid 4th all day, like the whole time.
Well, Karam was leading.
Yeah, he started up front. He started like in the like.
Karam
the
led
row.
for like the first half.
Yeah,
and then Malukas caught up a little bit. I don't think Malukas ever led. I could be wrong.
I don't think he ever got to the front.
Yeah, Rosenqvist
was pretty solid up in the front the entire time.
Was catching the drafts, getting past people, using his push to pass really smartly. Yeah, he looked great.
But best seat in the house all day, I feel like the person that had the best seat in the house was our very own Justin Cox. What was it like, Justin, getting to talk to Jack Harvey and Christian Lundgaard at Ball State?
So, in case you don't know, Ray Holliderman and Lanigan Racing partnered with Ball State Esports to help develop their esport program a little more. And I don't go to Ball State. I just heard about it from Ball State's website and all that, and their Twitter or whatever. And we were like, I wonder if you have to be a student to go. So me and my friends just went on up there, and we're just sitting there watching, and they were racing in the other room. And but yeah, I pulled these out to get them up. But yeah, met Jack Harvey and Christian Lundgaard, and those are your guys, by the way. But yeah, But no, it was definitely cool, like, because they came out, they messed with, like, the Ball State people for a while or whatever, and then they came out, and me and my friends, we got our autographs and stuff like that. They took pictures or whatever, and he, like, looked at me, and I had my Scott McLaughlin shirt on, and he was like, "Aye." I'm gonna mimic his
nice accent you got there.
I'm gonna mimic his accent. He was like, "Hey, is that a new garden shirt you got on?" And I was like, "No, it's McLaughlin." And he was like, "Oh, that's a good mate right there. I like him," or something like that. I was like, "Yeah, I had to wear something that you guys would get along with." So, but no, I had him sign up my Jack Harvey shirt that my friend Weston got me as a prank. And I had Lundgaard sign my Firestone hat. It's out of frame right now. You can't see it. But, yeah, it was a pretty cool time, though. I was sitting there watching the live feed the whole time. I was like, it was dope. It was definitely a dope experience. So, yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So, cool to see that IndyCar we're so close to St. Petersburg. And it's going to be a very interesting IndyCar season. Hopefully we see those guys, Rosenqvist, Malukas, up near the front this season.
At the Sebring Tests, they've been doing Sebring Tests the past 2 days, yesterday and today, as of we're recording. I don't remember who. I think Ericsson was the number 1 guy for today's session.
That doesn't really surprise me, though.
I think it was Ericsson, VK. I think Daly was 3rd or 4th.
That does surprise me.
Sick in P6 was Callum Ilott. That was
nice.
For the second day?
Yeah.
Because the first day they were like, he was like 19th or something.
I believe 16th. I saw he was P6 by the end of the day today.
Good for Ilott.
But yesterday, Colton Herta was number 1, but by either 0.7 or 0.07 seconds. 0.07. Very, very close.
Probably 0.07.
David Malukas.
Our
boy. We loved him. I think a lot of people expect him to do relatively well, but nobody expected him to probably be as close as he was to who he was close to.
Especially since he's in that Dale Coyne equipment, which last year was obviously only competitive with the 51 of Romain Grosjean. Ed Jones just did not have a good year last season. Very mid-pack. Do I expect that 18 car to be kind of in the middle of the pack most of the season?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. but he'll obviously still have some growing pains, and along with all the rookies, including Kirkwood, Lundgaard. But it's gonna be interesting. Super excited for this IndyCar season to start, and good to see drivers that we don't normally see in the front of the pack running tests well.
Well, I
Kevin
think
Magnussen.
Well-
Yeah, Kevin. If you didn't know, Kevin Magnussen filled in for the 10 car for one day. I don't remember if it was just Palou couldn't make it for the first day, or if Chip Ganassi was just using their driver evaluation day to get an extra test day. But they had Kevin Magnussen in it, who obviously like the 10 car is like one of the best cars, and
No,
Kevin
really?
Magnussen is a really good driver, but Kevin Magnussen was not figuring out that track well, and I think there were 15 or 16 cars that did it the first day, and he was in last. Yeah, he was around. I believe the only person he was behind, or the main person he was behind, was Tatiana Calderon, I believe. Obviously, AJ Foyt car, not the strongest equipment, but definitely interesting to see a driver that has even run an IndyCar race. He ran with the 7 car for one race last year. Surprising to see him be that far down, personally.
Yeah. I was gonna say, the Dale Coyne equipment though. I think the partnership with HMD also helped him as well too. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see though. But
I think the HMD partnership will be pumping a lot of money towards that 18 car.
Oh yeah.
But you guys are forgetting about the most important partnership with that Dale Coyne HMD car, which is Rickware Racing.
That's just the 51, I believe.
I know it is. It is only the 51 as they have that sponsorship. But gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a very exciting IndyCar season. But let's go ahead and let's close this episode out. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at Indy Boys Podcast. Follow us all on Twitter. Links are down there, right down there below. Go ahead and share with us wherever you want to share. Literally share with your mom, your dad, all your friends. Share us on social medias. Say what's up to your grandma. Be like, hey, yo, listen to the Indy Boys Racing Podcast.
Should be like,
We officially are on Google Podcasts, so that is awesome. Listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, now Google Podcasts. Let us know if there's any other podcast networks you guys want the Indy Boys Racing Podcast to be on. Thank you guys so much for listening. Shout out to the Marion Phoenix for putting our podcast over on their site. And I will see you guys at the end of Speedweeks. Anything you guys got to say before we close this one out?
I'm very excited for the 500 this weekend. I'm very excited for the entire Speed Week the rest of this week. I'm just ready. I'm glad racing's back. It was a very strenuous 2 months, and I don't know how long I could take it. So, but yeah, that's all I gotta say. Daniel, what you got?
As excited as I am for the Daytona 500, I still think I'm a little more excited for IndyCar being back.
Man.
One more week till IndyCar. Racing's back, baby. That's all I can really say.
Man, I gotta wait till like April for F1. I'm pissed.
All right, closing this one out. Watch Jacques Villeneuve in the 27 win the 500.
Oh, I hope so.
I'm Tristan Grider signing off for
The
Daniel
money
Chaney
team.
and Justin Cox. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Watch Jacques Villeneuve.